Hello, hello, hello. This is Ronnie, and I'm back again with another video. I know it's been a pretty minute, but we just most recently hit our 4-year mark on the death of my husband. And so I just wanted to come on quickly and just try to give an update on what it's like, what it's been like, and sort of where we are now, 4 years later. If you've never been here before, my name is Ronnie. If you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you for hanging with your girl. So what's been going on? We've just been living life. We have just been living life, and that's really the best I could really say. That's really what's been happening. A few milestones that I can think of off the top of my head. Uh, Last year, 2023, my middle child, my oldest daughter, she graduated from high school. I may have been on here and said that. I don't know. I don't remember. But she graduated last year in 2023. She started working. And this year, in June, my youngest child, my last baby, she graduated from high school. And she is currently enjoying her summer, and we're going to look forward to seeing what's happening for her in the coming months of this year. And I guess my son is still working. He's doing well in his job, and he's happy. He's doing his thing. He's still living at home, which is fine. And I guess one of the biggest milestones that hit for us, for me personally, is that I turned 50 this year. And that is huge because I used to wonder, what was I going to do with myself when I got to this stage in life where the kids are all adults, or at least no longer requiring me for their daily care. What was I supposed to do with myself at this time, at this stage of life? And I remember, and I think I probably mentioned it on a previous video, but I remember asking my husband about it, and he said it would come to me. And I know neither of us could possibly imagine that he wouldn't be here at this time in life. But it is what it is. God's will be done, and we're going to move on with that. I would like to say that I'm living in my empty nest season, but I'm not, because all three of them are still at home. They won't go anywhere. That's fine. I'm not really upset about them not leaving the house just yet. They are being productive. They are moving forward in life. They're doing things that will help develop them in their adulthood, so that when they are ready to leave, they will be prepared. There's no reason in putting them out or forcing them into a stage of life that they're not ready for. So they know that they are able to stay here as long as needed until they get themselves financially secure, and even more importantly, emotionally mature enough to handle being out on their own and not relying on me for anything that they may need. One thing I'm very surprised about is that we haven't done any commemorating of the death of my husband, their father. I don't know if I thought that we would really. It was just that I'm just really surprised that we haven't. There's never been a thing where we haven't done anything. We don't even bring it up. We don't even talk about it on that day. And I never wanted to really bring it up to them because I don't want to put them in a mood. I don't know that they even well, I know my son does, but my daughters, I don't know if they even, if it comes to their recollection at all. I don't know that it does for them. And there's a part of me that really doesn't want to bring it up to them because I don't want to put them in a certain way in their emotions. I will say recently, my oldest, my son, came to me and he wanted to have a discussion. So we sat down and we talked about what was on his mind. And what he revealed to me was that he did feel a certain sadness this past August, when, well, not this past August, but this year, when that date came, and he did feel a certain sadness. He was thinking about his dad. And I explained to him, I said, well, that's perfectly normal. Why wouldn't you? You know, it was a very traumatic moment in your life. It's something that you will never forget. And it's perfectly okay for you to feel sadness on that day. I said, not every year will be that way. You may get to a point in your life where you have so many different things going on and so many priorities and things happening and people possibly in your life that it won't hit you really on that day. It may just be a fleeting thought and you remember like, oh wow, this is the day, and then you're going to keep moving. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I explained to him, I don't believe that your father would want you just sitting around moping and sad and whatnot. That's not what he was about. He wouldn't want that for you. So if you were moving forward in life and you have reached a point in your emotional development that you're able to recognize the day, acknowledge your feelings, sit in it for a little bit, and then move on, perfect. One thing he also mentioned was that he wasn't sure if he could come to me because he didn't want to make me feel bad. And so, of course, I let him know you can always come and talk to me about anything. I'll let you know if I'm able to handle it right then and there or not. Personally, I'm not sad about it on that day anymore. This particular day, this year, I didn't even think about it until after the fact. Specifically, once my son started talking to me about it, and I realized that it didn't even cross my mind. No one calls me anymore. No one asks if I'm okay. My mom used to call and ask how I'm doing on that day for the last few years, but this year she didn't do it. I don't know. I'm just really grateful that God allowed me to be able to heal emotionally and also my children to heal emotionally so that we're not sitting here being emotional wrecks 4 years later. Part of that healing for me was finding a church family. And it's brand new for me not going to church, but it's a brand new church for me because I don't live in my hometown. So I had to just find a place where I thought would be comfortable not only for me but to introduce my children to. And so I am now fully involved, participating actively in multiple ministries, and I'm actually living the things that I've always wanted to live. And I'm just so grateful that I'm able to be there. I'm grateful that my children are able to see me live that out because I truly believe that the way I healed is beneficial for them to see, and it kind of helps them move forward too. Because I imagine that if they see me happy, enjoying life, even though I'm feeling some sadness or I may go through a moment of sadness, I can still move forward. I can still do all the things that I need to do. They too can do the same thing. So now the kids are getting older. They're all 18 and older by the time this video will be released. And I have to deal with the fact that I have young adult children now. And so what I found myself doing a lot is really just trying to help guide them into their adulthood, into the new phase of their life. They've got to realize now that they don't have to depend on me for their activities. If there's something you want to do, go ahead and do it. I mean, talk to me. You have to let me know what you're doing and what you plan to do or what you want to do, because we're all accountable to each other within this house as long as we live in the same household. But as I explained to them, I'm not responsible for your happiness. You've got to create the life that you want to live. Losing your father is a part of your life, and it has helped develop you emotionally, even though you may not realize that right now. But down the line, you will meet other people who have gone through the same thing, or you may find out that you know someone who is going through it at that moment, and you'll be able to pull on your experience, and you never know how that's going to help someone down the line. So as I just help guide them through that, just helping them to realize that their decisions are their own, and that they need to start thinking about the type of life they would like to live, and they can start creating and crafting that life for themselves, and recognizing that you're going to have a moment of sadness. You'll have a bout of sadness or disappointment or discouragement because he's not here and you can only come to me, and I get it. I don't truly know how that feels, but I do understand. And so don't stay in that moment is my encouragement to them. It's like, you can feel that way, but don't stay in that depressive state. Don't stay in that sadness. Allow yourself to feel it, but eventually I need you to try to work on coming out of that, because if you don't, then you will never be able to move forward in life. And that's the main goal, is to keep moving forward. I mean, ultimately, my prayer is that they see me and my journey, and that it inspires them in their journey, and they can see that I have my moments where I'm like, Dad, I really miss my dude. He was my best friend. He was my life partner. We grew up enough together. We spent a good portion of our lives together when we were young and single, and then we became a married couple, and then we became parents, and it was the first time for both of us. So, you know, I miss him, but I'm not sad over it. Like, it doesn't make me want to cry every time I think about him. It doesn't make, I don't feel like I get sad or I'm getting ready to cry just because I talk about him. And that's also a thing that I'm really, really grateful for with the kids, is that now that they're older, they get to appreciate and learn more about him, and really have an understanding about the type of man he was, and how he was, and little things that he would do just about him. And so as things occur in their life, or just in the world, I can bring up, your dad would have said, or I think, could you imagine how your dad would have reacted, or, they'll come up and say, didn't Dad like, your father would have cracked up if he was, your father would have had a fit about this. But, we can talk about stuff like that and laugh and think about, how you think Daddy would react to that, and just to remember him, but to make it a feel-good moment. That if you want to cry, you can cry. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's keep thinking about him in good times and happy moments, and make it a funny situation, or at least a joyful situation, so that the memory doesn't always make you sad. I know recently, and more recently, I won't say recently, but more recently, my youngest has asked me just randomly, do I still get sad, or do I cry? Am I lonely? And really, my answer to that is of course. Of course I do. There are moments when I do feel lonely, because I'm in my room, in our room, in our bedroom, and he's not here. I was used to having him here, and he's no longer here. There are things that, that we married. There's things we would do, as a married couple. Even if all it was just watching a movie. I think about some of the movies that have come out, and like, man, we would have laid up in the bed watching movies. We would have been hanging out doing certain things. We would have been hanging out playing games on the bed and whatnot, when there was nothing on TV or something. I get lonely in those moments. But then I think about, well, it's my life now. It's no longer his wife, or my husband. It's me. Who am I supposed to be now? What kind of life am I supposed to live now? What is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to do? How am I going to entertain myself? I can't depend on anyone else for my happiness. So how do I make myself happy? What makes me happy? So it's constantly a rediscovering of who I am and who I want to be in this world. The most important thing that I try to remind myself is that I can't stay in those moments. I can't stay in the moments of sadness, of grief, of loneliness, of depression, of longing. We all have those moments, but I can't stay there. And some of the ways that I don't stay there is that there's certain music I can't listen to. There are certain movies I try not to watch too much. I love a good rom-com, but sometimes I'm looking at these rom-coms and I'm like, oh, just do that. I don't want to be in that moment. I don't want to be sad thinking about stuff like that. So sometimes I have to stay away from certain types of movies just to keep my emotions intact. The main thing that I try to do always is just remain positive, or at least after I've gone through the sadness, or the feeling of sadness or whatever, then I try to find myself thinking of something positive. I try to shake myself up and like, all right, come on. We gotta get up. We can't stay here. Find something. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Find something fun. Then I have to watch something silly. Maybe I gotta go on YouTube and watch something silly. Find something silly to watch on TV just to make me laugh and to break me out of that loneliness feeling, that sad recollection, emotional place. I just have to get up out of it. And it does require me sometimes to get out of my room. So I have to go sit in a different part of the house. I got to do something. I might have to call my mother. I might have to do something, engage in something else that has absolutely nothing to do with him. And something that's brand new that occurred or has developed after him, so that I'm no longer in the mindset of him and focusing on him. I'm just really, really grateful that 4 years later, I see the growth in myself. I see the growth in my children. I'm grateful that we are not wallowing in the misery of it all. We're not stuck in a place where we can't move forward because we think we can't move forward without him. That is not how he would have wanted us to be. I know that for sure. And so it's my way of honoring him is to move forward and do well in life and live a great life with his memory, but just moving forward still. Remembering him, I see him every day in his children, so I'm reminded of him every day. But I'm losing my light and I'm running low on storage, so I'm just going to end this video here. That's just a quick update of how we're doing after 4 years. It's a wonderful journey. It's been an interesting journey, and I look forward to what we have coming next. I do have some videos in mind for what I want to do, so I do plan to be back and be a little bit more consistent with my videos. So I hope you tune in and join me when you see me. So subscribe if you are interested, and like the video if it was interesting for you, and I will see you next time.